Hey guys, it's Ted. Today we're going over the range combat for Hail Caesar. This is for the second edition. Not much has changed. If you had the first edition, basically it's still the same thing for second edition. So I go through step by step on calculating range and how to do range. So we're starting off here. We have some of my War of the Roses. We got a mixed unit. This halberd and crossbow. We have a full bow unit here, and we got a full pike unit, halberd unit there. So, but we're talking about the bow unit, this bow unit here. So, bring this over. So, as you see, we got a household mixed infantry, and we come down here. We're just looking at the range. So there's two different numbers: there's short range and long range. This is how many dice you roll when you're shooting at short range. Short range, no matter what weapon you got, is 6 inches. Anything over 6 inches is long range. So there's no between longbow, javelin, or like that. It's all the same. So you have two different versions. There is some difference in some other weapons that you got, but for the crossbows, it's 3 dice each. So this is how many dice you roll when you do your combat. So to initiate combat, when it's the shooting phase, so this comes right after movement, the crossbow will pick its target. Now, to pick a target, the unit has to be in its front facing, which is, just gonna imagine like a 45-degree arc that goes off. If a unit's within that 45, they can be shot at. Now, depending on where the unit is located, is which units you can shoot at. So, right here, both these units are the same distance. So, this unit draws a line from the center of this unit to the nearest part of that unit, one of these units, and the closest unit they can shoot at. If there's equal distance, then they can either shoot at either unit. Now, if one unit was closer, just by like a half an inch, like this bow unit, you got these melee unit. Even though to the crossbow, the melee might be more dangerous, since the bow unit is closer, this is the unit that they have to shoot at. Ways around this is what's called open order infantry, which are usually modeled on a single base. They're like skirmishers. If a unit of skirmishers, like if this unit's a unit of skirmishers here, then you can shoot that down, but they don't consider it a formed unit, so you don't have to shoot on them if you don't want to. So if these were skirmishers here, this crossbow could shoot at this unit or at the open order, but it doesn't make you shoot at these guys. Now, if you have an artillery unit that's closer, even though artillery, just like open order infantry, you don't have to shoot at it if you don't want to. You can target the formed infantry. The formed infantry is all the ones you have to target. So now, another circumstance is line of sight. So say like this unit is closer, but the majority of the unit is blocked by impassable terrain that you cannot see it. Then you could target the unit that you can see all of. So, but the majority of the unit has to be blocked to prevent you from shooting at it. So, like these bowmen, like right now, more than half is blocked. So the crossbows could shoot at the formed infantry as their target. If this unit's completely out of sight, you don't have to worry about it. You can still shoot the formed infantry. So if the unit is behind, like here, if there's an enemy unit behind them, you can't shoot at them because you don't see them. So they don't have to shoot at these guys. It's just the guys that they're in the forward view of sight. And same thing, if like majority of the units outside the 45 and the majority of this unit is within the 45 like this, even though this unit's closer, they can see more of this unit, so they could target this unit over this unit. It's just there's not enough guys. They see some guys there, but there's not enough to worry about. But these guys are the one. So if they're all within majority within the view of sight, you always shoot at the closest formed infantry unit or cavalry unit. But the units that are skirmish or visual sight don't have to be shot at. So once you've picked your target, so get these guys away. So you pick your target. Now you roll your dice. This is a standard unit, a bowman. I use 3 stands to represent a standard unit. 3 stands or 18 infantry represents a unit of foot. So you decide to shoot at those guys. You look at your sheet. It says it's going to be over 6 inches. So it's 3 dice with mixed with crossbow stuff. It's 3 and 3. So you get 3 dice. Your base to hit's always a 4. Same thing for hand to hand. It's always a 4. But there's modifiers that add to the dice. Some modifiers contain the size of the unit. So this is regular. There's no modifier. If you're larger or smaller, you lose dice per the size of that's for the size of the unit is how many dice you shoot. Then you got what kind of formation they're in. These guys are in line, so no modification. If these guys were in column like this, then they cannot shoot. You cannot shoot in column. If they're in square, they get 1 dice, and if they're in buildings, then you get 2 dice out of a facing if you're occupying a building. But these guys are in line and open terrain, and you got a unit of halberd infantry here coming down when pay them a visit. So these guys want to try to stock them. So you take your 3 dice. You start off at 4. If the unit is shaken and disordered, it's a minus, so we're not worried about that. If the target is partially obscured or an open order artillery, it's a minus, makes it hard to hit. So it basically that represents if you're shooting at skirmishers or these guys behind a wall, or they're like a loose tree line or behind some shrubs, then it's cut. They're obscured, so your attack goes to a 5. But these guys are open. The next one is if you're attacking a heavy unit with shields to the front quarter, you get a minus to hit. It's just represent them. They're locking their shields together, and they're forming a shield wall, a very impenetrable defense. These guys are not heavy infantry. They don't have shields, so that doesn't modify it. Closing shots, which we'll come to. That's during a charge. We'll come to that. Traversing shots. We'll cover that in a bit. And extreme lanes. Okay. Extreme range is anything over 12 inches. So up to 6 inches is close range. 12 inch, anything above 12 inches is an extreme range. But these guys are not extreme range. So as they look at the penalties, all I need to hit is 4+. So you take 3 dice. You roll. And anything that's higher than a 4 is a hit. So I rolled a 4 to 6. 6s are special. So I get him twice. So this unit's going to have to do a morale save. Morale saves are different depending on how much armor they're wearing or little's armor. While these are standard mixed unit, their saves are going to be 4. Some guys have armor and a lot of guys don't. So their base save is 4. There's some modifications for that. If a unit's in square or wedge formations, which is special formations, they get plus if they're in cover. Now, so like this wall hinders you for shooting, but they're in the your save. They also still help you out. So if you've had a wall, you get pluses. If you're in buildings, fortifications, and if you're artillery units, which are dispersed, they get a save too. But these guys have no wall. They're in the open. So their base save is going to be a 4. So there's nothing beyond that. So you roll 2 dice. All you need is 4 or higher. So I made 1 save and 1 hit. The unit will take 1 casualty. I'll mark that there. And that would be it. Now, since you rolled a 6, if you roll a 6 to hit, and against that, they're going to have to take a range morale check, a break test. A break test is something that the unit could break and run or anything else. There's a chart for range. So what you do, you just take your 2 dice, and you just look at the penalties. There's pluses or minuses for range. These guys don't have no problems with that. So all you need to do is roll 2 dice, look at the range chart. You roll that. So I rolled an 8 for the break test around here. Now this is your range chart. I rolled an 8. You come up here to infantry. Hold your ground without penalty. So nothing happens. You're good to go. But if you roll lower, stuff like retreat, disorder. You retreat a full move and you become disordered. Disorder gives you minuses to shoot, melee, and stuff like that. So you want to roll high in this chart to do it. Now, and that's complete right. Now, if you had a couple archer units, so say if you got this unit here and this unit, and they're both going to fire, so unit fires, you get 1 hit, this unit fires, and you get 1 hit. And they're going to have to do 2 saves to save it. If either of these units rolled a 6, so they're going to take a break test. You always take your break test after all shooting is done against that unit. So it's not like this unit shoots, rolls a 6, you got to take a break test. And if this unit shoots, you roll 62, take a break test. You don't. You do all your shooting on that unit. Once everything's done on that unit, all shooting, and if it has to take a break test, it just takes 1 break test, no matter how many 6s were rolled against it. So it's just a single break test. After that, it completes your shooting. Then we move to hand-to-hand combat. But there's a couple other instances in shooting that takes place. So you got your crossbow. You got this. So these guys have decided they're going to charge in. So in the movement phase, if they're within 12 inches, it's just an initiative move. They can charge in with no orders. They can go in. Now, you're going against bowmen. They're going to launch an attack against you. They get closing fire. So these bowmen are going to shoot at that. They get 3 dice. The base penalty for bowmen shoot is a -1 because you're firing fast. You're not set ready to mass shoot. The guys come in, you roll your dice, so you need 5s or 6s. You roll. I rolled 2 4s and a 1, so they all missed. And that attack will come in, and you do a round of combat. Now, if I'm shooting, I rolled any casualties. So I've rolled 5 to 6. They got 2 casualties. They're going to have to roll for closing fire. So I rolled a 6 and a 5, so that means no casualties were taken. But since you rolled a 6 for closing fire, they're going to have to take a morale check. So you roll your dice. I rolled a 3. And on the chart, the break if the unit suffered any casualties, otherwise the retreat is disordered. So all it means is this unit becomes disordered, and they'll finish their attack. And when they're in melee, they'll fight at a disadvantage because of the disorder. But now, say like they took 80 casualties from the shooting going in, which they did, which they saved both. They say they took 1. Then the unit breaks. They flee for 12 inches, and we gotta wait for the next turn. So disordering a unit coming in is very important to make sure you guys survive your range of combat. Also on the chart, if you roll high for morale, this guy was called hold your ground without penalty, which is the highest. But in a charge, if you're charging in, that still represents you still go in. You don't stop. If you're doing a charge, if you roll that, you still charge and you continue to attack. So, and that's the basic for shooting. Now, there's a couple instances that will come up that evolve around shooting. So, same thing as infantry. There's a 12-inch zone of control in front of the unit. So all that means, if a unit's like this, just like any other, they will have to turn to face that unit. And also, say you got a unit like this. This enemy unit here wants to charge a unit of bowman you got here, and you're on the flank. And he's going to charge. So he charges in. If he makes the charge, which for initiative orders, it could not make the charge, but if he does the charge, these guys what's called transitioning fire. So anything that moves through their zone of control, they get to shoot at with a -1. So even if like the units in this zone, how it ended up. So this turn they marched here, and these guys are here, and they don't want, and they just want to march out. Even though they're in their turn, they march out. These guys still get a round of shooting as these guys move through their zone of control. There's a couple things that work. So if you got cavalry, the cavalry wants to move out or back up. If you're moving within that zone of control, they get a shot at you. So it's a hasty shot, so it's going to be a minus to shoot. So, but that's the zone of control. So if these guys are shaken and stuff, they'll get minuses to shoot, and which will come to once we start taking casualties and stuff. So I think that covers basically. Artillery. Artillery shoots just like infantry does. They have their own stats, and infantry also if you also have all the bowmen. So if you got a unit back here, this unit wouldn't be able to shoot over the heads of these guys unless they're in elevated position or in like on a wall or something like that. If they're in a top of a hill or on a wall, then these guys could shoot over the heads. That works the same thing as artillery. Artillery is higher, they can shoot over. Things with artillery is when they fire, there's a set number of turns they have to reload until they shoot again. So artillery is very primitive. So, and that is the basics of shooting. There's not much to it. The book goes into really detailed on how to shoot, but they want to make sure you understand exactly you get it right. Oh, and also if the artillery's on a hill, they cannot be nothing within 6 inches of the front of the gun. So even if it's on the hill, if it's on a hill behind this unit here, it has to be at least more than 6 inches away to fire over it. Because infantry is very cautious of early war artillery against shooting, so they would have to be at least 6 inches away. I would, if you do castles, if it's like way up in a turret, top of a castle, I wouldn't bother with that. As long as this good, reasonable distance away. So that is all. Yeah, since they moved War of the Roses from Pike and Shot to Hail Caesar, one rule I did not see in the book that I would keep in Pike and Shot is for artillery. Artillery, very unreliable. So in Pike and Shot, when you rolled the shoot, they had different numbers pertaining on the distance you're shooting. So it's 1, 2, or 3. So extreme range, you just roll 1 dice. At medium range, 2. And at very close range, you roll 3 dice. Represents grape shot or putting everything down the barrel to shoot at you. So for artillery, so if it's shooting at long range, it's 1 dice. And it's -1 to hit at extreme range. So you roll. And I roll a 6. Oh, I hit. So I hit. And you got a chance of disorder. But say if you roll the 1. I don't see it in the Hail Caesar, but it's in Pike and Shot, and it's called misfire. There's a misfire that you roll the dice again to see what happens to your gun. So your gun could explode, or it could jam, or anything like that. It's just the unreliable of early black powdered weapons. So that's the only thing I see if it's in there, I haven't come across it yet. So it's like they didn't import that over from Pike and Shock. But that's one thing you need to. And this makes them more unreliable because, like I said, most of the Hill Caesars are like catapults and trebuchets and bolt throwers and stuff like that. And if they misfire, it doesn't sort of hurt because it doesn't explode. It might break and throw, might hurt one or two people, but when a cannon explodes, it scythes through the crew and everything like that. So that's the only thing I don't see in the book, but I would bring over to it. So, but that's the basics of shooting. It's quick and simple. Um, Next would be the hand-to-hand one. That not much to that one either. So it runs basically almost the exact same way as shooting does. So it makes it nice and easy, but it's melee. So until then, guys, I'll see you later, and get figures on the table and keep playing and stuff. So enjoy yourself. So have a good day.